12 years ago, following the release of the original Wrath of the Lich King, a video was released about a method to earn 1,000 gold per hour exploiting NPC vendors in the game who sold limited supply items. These vendors sell only one or a limited number of special items, which subsequently then cannot be purchased on that realm for some set amount of time. The player who can snap up these items fast has a monopoly on them and can therefore charge significantly more gold than they paid for the item. The video was posted by a user of what we now know as Owncore.com, named Everground, with an accompanying detailed article on that site. This was, especially for the time, a groundbreaking, unusually professional and engaging video. It was a major factor in getting me interested in YouTube. In this video, I'm going to test the original concept to see if it still works in Wrath of the Lich King Classic. TLDR, it does, though it's a bit more complicated than that. I'll also be suggesting methods to speed up the route, optimize it, and use an alternative route which I believe to be more profitable, as well as looking at the differences between Classic and original Wrath. Spoiler, what really surprised me is that Everground significantly overstated the time necessary to complete the route, and therefore understated the gold-making power of his method, as we'll see. This video inspired me to start developing even more powerful limited supply routes for my patrons, encompassing Outland and Northrend, as well as Horde-only items. Just for fun, I'm going to be using Everground's ambient ASMR style in this video instead of my normal theatrical voice, and also using the original music from Everground's video. Now, Everground's route starts in Steamwheedle Port, which is a kind of peculiar place to start because it isn't especially accessible. To get there from Dalaran, go to the Violet Citadel and take the portal on the left up the stairs, and then just go north from the Caverns of Time. It will take you 2 minutes to reach the port. Now, at Steamwheedle, Everground recommended purchasing items from the goblins Gigic and Jabby. Depending on the prices on your server, you might also want to buy items from Haughty Modiste if you have a little extra backspace, though Everground didn't suggest this. Now, go to Tanaris. Getting there takes 1 minute and 20 seconds. There you'll want to hit up the goblins Alchemist Pestlzug and Vizclick. As a general rule, we buy any actual limited supply item, which will be denoted by a number next to the vendor item, and we may also purchase unlimited things like recipes and designs if they sell for above the vendor price, which many do. At this point, Everground recommends using your Hearthstone to port to Dalaran and using the Ironforge portal in the Alliance faction area. As I'm using a mage, I'm going to be using my teleport spell to get directly to Ironforge. Now, head to the Great Forge, and you simply run in a circle around it, checking every vendor for items. This herb pouch, for example, is not a limited supply item, but does sell for significantly more than its minimal silver vendor price. It is worth repeating Everground's warning here at this early stage in the video that this is not a raw gold farm. These items take a while to sell. Think of it like the inventory in a shop. It is worth quite a lot of money in total, which provides a steady stream of cash over time. That said, this isn't like, say, a transmog farm on Retail WoW, where you can post hundreds of items and never get a sale. You will usually sell at least a couple of things every time you post them on the auction house, if you price competitively. It is worth mentioning that this route is so much faster with a mage, something Everground didn't seem to be aware of, at least 30% faster. Using Everground's original methodology, you are actually looking at 2,000 gold per hour worth of items with a mage, though I must again emphasize these items do not sell overnight. Note the tuxedo items sold here are among the best limited supply items you can purchase and sell for a premium on servers with any kind of roleplay activity. When you put these items on the auction house, you only ever put up one at a time, and if possible, avoid competition. Every duplicate item that is posted on the auction house reduces its value. Unfortunately, Wrath Classic's concentration of mega servers means that there is a lot of duplicate items being sold of almost everything, though on the plus side, things do sell faster. If you are sticking it out on a small realm, you can charge a lot more than average for these items, as you will have a complete monopoly, but you will also have limited sales. Having completed the circle of the Great Forge, we head to Tinker Town and purchase items from Suli Berry Fizz and Gear Cutter Cog Spinner. Now here as a mage, I could teleport directly to Stormwind, but most classes will want to use the deep run tram, so that's what I'll be doing here. At Stormwind, we check out Kaita Deepforge in the Dwarven district to see if she has any limited supply blacksmithing plans for us, which on this run she doesn't. Then we seek out Catherine Leyland in the canals of Stormwind. She's right next to the entrance to the trade district and the mage quarter. Her recipes are not limited in supply, but Everground recommends purchasing them anyway. Now go into the Mage Quarter and visit the Alchemists, and then the Tailor. You can purchase patterns for roleplay items from Alexandra Bolero, so again the average price of these items is significantly higher on servers with roleplay activity. Exit the Mage Quarter, and on your immediate left is an enchanting shop where you can buy strange dust and lesser magic essence. The markup on these basic items isn't as fantastic as some of the other limited supply items you can find, but because they are basic materials in high demand, they tend to sell much faster, which keeps the gold flowing when you are trying to sell some of the high value / lower demand items on this list. Now at this point, Everground recommends leaving Stormwind and heading for Booty Bay. This will take you 3 minutes and 15 seconds by Griffin. The whole process should have taken you about 15 minutes up to this point. Now, when we arrive in Booty Bay, we want to first go to a vendor named Cowardly Crosby, who is south of Booty Bay itself. Everground recommended the land route around to the east of Booty Bay. Crosby sometimes sells a pattern for an admiral's hat, quite a desirable item on some realms. You might not be able to get the 50 gold from the pattern Everground reported selling it for, but it is worth checking to see if this NPC has it nonetheless. Now the eastern land route to Crosby is quite slow. I found if you used a water walking potion, you could instead significantly reduce the time taken to reach Crosby and return to Booty Bay by running across the shoreline to the west, as I'm demonstrating here. When returning to Booty Bay, go to this point here so you can jump back into the town. Now we are going to run around Booty Bay proper, much as we did in Ironforge, taking advantage of all the NPCs in a small space selling limited supply items. I'm going to show this at normal speed because Booty Bay can be extremely confusing. When a vendor I stop at has no limited supply items, it's because someone else bought them out recently, which happens quite often, but they may well have those items when you come here, so don't skip them. By the way, if you check the average sell prices across EU or US with the Trade Skill Master add-on, you'll find that they are mostly in the same general range of profitability that Everground speaks of in his original video, which is amazing given how different the economies of Wrath Classic and Original Wrath are. There's a fireworks vendor hidden at the back of the town who sells a schematic for a green firework which apparently sells for an average of 50 gold on US servers. I have no idea whether you can sell it for that price in the States or whether there's some kind of pricing manipulation going on there. I'm naturally suspicious of such things. But it is possible to sell many of these items for over 10 gold, which is incredible given that almost all of them can be bought from the vendor for silver. Finally, we're going to head over to the Port Authority building. This is a real treasure trove of weird items. Everground recommends you buy all the recipes of the cook here, even though they aren't limited supply items. And then, because it's a pirate town, you've got to get a parrot. I noticed these seem to sell quite fast. I'm not sure what type of person buys a virtual parrot on impulse, but there you go. Now at this point, Everground recommended logging off until your Hearthstone is no longer on cooldown, then porting back to Ballaran and taking the portal to Ironforge and using another portal to the Blasted Lands. I imagine most players will not want to do this and have an extended period of downtime, so I do not recommend this. The idea is to visit Netherguard Keep and pick up the recipe for the Elixir of Demon Slaying. I'm not sure what the price of this item was in original Wrath, but right now it is worth only 20 to 30 gold across all realms. So with the exception of mages, you can't really justify the time spent travelling to Netherguard for just this one item, especially as the vendor won't always have the item available. So I'm going to suggest an alternative strategy of my own at this point. When you've finished with the Booty Bay vendors, you are right next to the ship to Ratchet. That's in the Northern Barrens in Kalimdor. Ratchet has an amount of limited supply vendors comparable to the ones we've seen in major cities or towns, quite close together. From Ratchet, it is a short flight via Griffin to Theramore. Theramore has just the two vendors we are interested in. The first one and the most interesting is Helenia Olden in this house here, who sells some really interesting designs for some twink items with a nice markup. Fun fact here, for some unknown reason, the area around Helenia plays the Elwyn Forest music, unlike anywhere else in Theramore. Next, go to Uma Bertolum and pick up her limited supply potions. Now, the final location Everground mentioned is in Southshore, in the north of Eastern Kingdoms, which is quite difficult to get to. Fortunately, your Hearthstone should be on cooldown by now, unless you did this whole thing lightning fast as a mage. Either way, you can port to Dalaran and then take the Alliance portal to Ironforge. Or if you are a mage, just teleport to Ironforge directly. It is a 4-minute flight from Ironforge to Southshore. When you get to Southshore, you'll find the time you invested flying here is well worth it. There are multiple vendors offering attractive items. The upside of the travel time you've invested is that other players don't travel here much, which keeps the price of these items relatively high. This concludes the run. You probably want to return to Dalaran before you log off for your session, so you don't have hearthing issues. Now, when I timed this run, I was surprised to find Everground's estimate of 1,000 gold per hour was actually reverse clickbait. This route doesn't take much longer than 40 minutes, however you do it. With the tricks and optimizations I mentioned in this video, you can do it in under 30 minutes, making for an effective 2,000 gold per hour worth of items. Mages can do this even faster. If you have a mage, you seriously want to be taking advantage of this situation and work something like this into your gold making routine. Now, the items from this limited supply run do sell, but as I said earlier, it sells slowly. You may want to consider automating your sales with a program like Trade Skill Manager, as even if it only takes a few minutes a day to post all these items, that does cut into your effective profits by adding to the time it takes to turn this stuff into actual gold. Now, if you've got this far, you probably worked out that there is a lot more to this than what I've discussed. This is a tiny fraction of all the limited supply vendors you can take advantage of. And then there's similar possibilities on retail, where you have a much larger world to find items in. I'm working on Patreon content to see just how far this can be pushed.